In this video, we're going to talk more about correlations, how to decide what the correlation probably will be, what the predicted correlation is from a description, and also how to make a good line of best fit. So let's go ahead and get started. So on this page, you'll see 7 different relationships, and I want you guys to be able to read 2 variables and decide what would be the correlation or what would be the expected relationship between the two. So here are our options. Our options are positive, negative, and no correlation. In a positive correlation, what you'll see is that as one variable goes up, the other variable goes up. Or if I look at the other way, if one variable goes down, the other variable goes down. They are the relationship, they go in that same direction. A negative relationship has a slightly different pattern. As one goes up, the other is the inverse. It goes down. Or if I start with a variable and it goes down, the other variable should be going up. And no relationship really means that there's no pattern at all. So no pattern. So as we read through our descriptions, think about if you increased one, what would happen to the other? So let's start with example number 1. The age of a tree and the height of a tree. So I always kind of make that first variable up. So if the age of the tree increases, so if it's getting older, what are you expecting to happen to the height of the tree? Well, we would expect it to go up. Not all heights are going to increase, but for the most part they are. So because I see positive, that they're going in the same direction, I would say that this has a positive relationship. Also, if I was thinking about what if the age of the tree, we were looking at a tree and we were looking at it backwards. So if I'm going in reverse, if the age of the tree is decreasing, we would expect the height of the tree to also decrease. Okay, that same direction, positive, or down, hey, is a positive relationship. Okay, let's look at another example. So if I say height and test scores. Well, as your height increases, what happens to your test scores? Well, you're probably saying to yourself, they're not related, and you're right. Because they're not related, I would say that there is no correlation. Next example, the amount of time you spend working and the amount of free time. So if I increase the amount of time working, what are you expecting happens to your free time? Well, the more I work, the less free time I would expect to have. So because as one is going up, the other is going down, we would say that this one has a negative correlation. Or in reverse, the more free time, the less time I spend working, the more free time that I have. Okay, next example, the number of days brushing teeth and cavities. So as I increase the number of days I brush my teeth more and more and more, the number of cavities I have go down. So what would you expect that correlation to be? Since they have opposite effects, we would expect a negative correlation. The amount of time spent studying and the number of answers correct on a test. So as I increase my time studying, what would I expect to do on my test? I would expect to do better. So because they're both going up, hey, we have a positive correlation. All right, next example, coffee consumption and intelligence. So if I increase my coffee consumption, does that have an effect on my intelligence? You're probably saying to yourself, yeah, no, it doesn't. So I would say that there is no correlation. And last example, the amount of time spent working and the amount, we already did that one, and the amount of free time. So you see we have our 6 examples. Remember, we're always saying, okay, if I increase one, what happens to the other, and so on. Now, as far as a good line of fit, hey, remember to tell us, to decide if something's a good line of fit, it has to, number 1, follow the trend. So this line right here, if I drew this line through it, that follows the trend up, but it doesn't track through my points. It's not really as close to my points as some other lines would be. So a good line of fit follows the trend, number one. And number two, I have about the same number of points above and below my line. So if I drew in this line, now you might say that's a really good line, but notice I have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6 dots above the line, and I have so many points below it. So while this is an okay line, it's not very great. What I would want to do is slide my line down just a bit so it was about halfway, so about half the number of dots above as below. If I look at some graphs you might be like, oh, there's no really trend, I don't see anything, but what I want you to be super careful and aware of is if I draw a line that goes this way, I notice that I do have about half the number above and below, but I really do have more of a trend going up. It's kind of gentle and calm, but it is a trend going up. So just be aware, sometimes the dots are super far away and we'd say that it has a low correlation, but if the trend is still going up, we'd still say it has a positive correlation. All right, that's it for today. If you have any questions, let me know, reach out, and we'll see you soon.